let's see how to solve this cool combo problem from the AMC 10A. What is the number of pairs from 1 to 14, number of ways the numbers from 1 to 14 can be split into 7 pairs, such that for each pair, the greater number is at least 2 times the smaller number. Okay, so this seems like a hefty problem. There must be so many cases, right? Is this a casework? Well, it turns out it's not actually a casework problem. Okay, let's just write all our numbers out to see what we're dealing with. We have 1 through 7, 8 through 14, and we're trying to pair them up. One bigger number, one smaller number. Okay, so first of all, what type of number can even be one of the greater numbers? In each pair, there's a small number and a big number. What type of numbers can even be as part of those big numbers? Oh, well, the big number must be at least 2 times the smaller number. Okay, so take a look here. For all of these numbers, if they are to be the smaller number, they have to be with something 2 times bigger. Let's hone in on our attention on 14. Why 14? Well, because it's a very restrictive case. Generally, in these types of combo problems, our goal is to focus on the most restrictive conditions first, because those are the ones that have the least number of possibilities which we can work with from. So now 14 is, well, the biggest number. So there's when it's part of a pair, there's no way it can be a small number, right? Because it's literally the biggest number. So if it's the biggest number, what can be its smaller number? Well, it can be with anything. It can be with 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1, because it's 2 times bigger than all of those numbers. So it can be with 1, 2, 3, 4, till 7. Okay, what about 13? 13, well, it can't be with 7 because 13 is not 2 times bigger than 7. It's not 2 times bigger than the smallest number. So it can be with anything from 1, 2, till 6. Same thing with 12. 1 through 6. 11, 1 through 5. And then we have 10, 9, and 8 as well. So the key thing here is that none of these numbers can be a smaller number in a pair. Because let's say 8 was a smaller number in a pair. Then the bigger number must be 2 times bigger than 8, 16. But there's no numbers that are 16. So all of these numbers must be the bigger number in their pair, and all of these numbers, they must be the smaller number in their pair, because all the remaining ones are the bigger numbers. So let's consider all the possible pair options like we did here. 14 has to be with something from 1 to 7. 13 has to be from something from 1 to 6. 12 has to be from something from 1 to 6. 11, 1 to 5. 10, 1 to 5. And 9, 1 to 4. So look here. Out of all these possibilities, 12 can be from 1. There's only one number that can be with 7. Let's move to the other side. There's only one number that can be with 7. Because all the numbers, only 14 can be with 7. As you can see here. Because 13, there's no other number that's 2 times bigger than 7, at least. And also, we already found that 13 cannot be 2 times bigger than 7, and 7 cannot be a bigger number, because these numbers have to be the bigger numbers, and these numbers have to be the smaller numbers, like we discussed earlier, because there's no 2 times 8 in the set. So therefore, 7 has to be a smaller number, and it can only be with 14, as you can see here. 7, 14. Because no other number none of the bigger numbers from 8 to 14 are double 7, other than 14. Okay, now what about 6? 6, well, 6 is also pretty restrictive as well. 6 can be with anything that's 2 times bigger, 12 or more, right? So it can be with 12, it can be with 13, it can be with 14, but 14 is already taken, so just 12 or 13. Okay? Now, what about 5? 5 can be 10, 11, 12 or 13 or 14, but 14 is already taken, right? So first of all, for this over here, which one is it going to be, 12 or 13? And the truth is, it can be either one. So we have two choices over here. So let's say times 2. And let's just say, without loss of generality, it's going to be the same later on. Let's just say we pick 13 for the 6, right? So then 5 cannot be 13. 5 can just be with 10, 11, or 12 as the larger number in its pair, because we already picked 13. And notice how if we instead pick 12 to be with 6, then 5 would just be with 10, 11, 13. So either way, it still has 3 options no matter what. And now again, let's say that we pick it to be with 12. It can be with any of 10 or 11 or 12, but all 3 of these cases will end up being the same down the road. So we'll just say it's being with 12, and we're going to multiply for 3 by that. Okay, now 4. 4 can be, again, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12, 13, 14 are taken. And, oh, there's 4 choices, right? There's 4 choices, so therefore, and let's just say we pick it to be with 11. Because the reason we pick it to be with 11 is because 12, 13, 14 are taken. Now, what about 3? Now, 3 can be with 6, 7, so on. Oh, but 6 and 7 cannot be bigger numbers, like we found earlier. They have to be the smaller number in their pair. So, they can only be with numbers 8, 9, and 10. And 11 through 14 are taken, and all the numbers that are less than 8 cannot be the bigger number in the pair. So, there's 3 choices here. And again, we can let it be any one of these choices, but let's just say it's 10. And now 2, similarly, it can be anything 4 or more. But all the values from 4 to 7 are all going to be the smaller number in their pair, not the larger one. So it's just 8 or 9. And then 1, it's just going to be 8. If we let 9 be the larger number to be with 2 choices, then we have 1 choice here at the end. And the reason that we can let it be anything we want it is because if we instead, let's say we let this be 12 instead of 13, it wouldn't really make a difference, because for all the remaining numbers, either one of 12 or 13 is 2 times bigger than all of these numbers here. 12 and 13 are both 2 times bigger than all the numbers from 1 to 5. So both 12 and 13 can be the larger number in a pair with any of these numbers. So it doesn't matter which one of those numbers we pick to choose for 6, and which one of the numbers to be choices for the remaining options. And similarly here, 12. If it was instead something like 11 or 10, it would be the same thing, because all of these numbers, 10 through 12, are more than 2 times bigger than the remaining options. So then we just multiply these terms to get the answer. 2 times 3 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. That's 24. 2 times 3 times 4 times 6 equal to 144, which is the final answer, which is E.